Okay, we are back on our live. I don't know what just happened, but we have to love technology. And we're just going to start over and pick up where we left off. So I'm going to get Jen back on. I don't know, something in the air that's not allowing us to join.
Okay, I
Oh
don't know
my
what
goodness.
happened.
I'm just like, what? We were
You were
going.
like, I
What
was going
happened?
on, and then it just froze, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Yep. We gotta love it. We gotta love it. I always say if there isn't an issue in technology, then there's no issues at all. So let's get back into it. So dad is like, you're gonna be president. We know that you became this like bomb ass leader in life, like we already know, but going back, and for those who are joining now, we are with Jen Deface. We are behind closed deals. We want to know who this success story was before and what actually brought her to be where she is now. So we shared already that you're a team lead at Compass. We shared that dad thought you were going to be president, but those are just all signs of, honestly, to me, leadership. And I think that's what people miss most. Success rarely starts when the business starts. It usually
Oh
starts
yeah,
years before that.
yeah, 100%.
So before Compass, before our awards and the recognition, who was Jen trying to become? I think about the college story that you shared. You
So
mentioned that in the early years you felt lost.
I definitely felt lost. I mean, I grew up in an immigrant family, right? So like we were just kind of trying to survive, to be honest with you, a lot of years. And then, my parents were like, "Hey, listen, like go to school. That's the solution. Pick something, get a good job, whatever." And I think that school is phenomenal, right? I mean, I think that that's great and that's a really good route for a lot of people. But I will say, for me, I was racking up a lot of student loans and I was not really sure what I wanted to do and I kept switching around. And so that definitely led me to be like, you know what, let me pause and figure out what I'm going to do instead of just continuing to switch around and, I was paying for it out of pocket. So it was a lot of money. And so basically what was going on was I was always a hard worker. I mean, I started working when I was like 15 years old. So I worked all through high school. I worked all through college. When I was in college, I had different jobs. I worked, I remember at one point I worked in a spa, cleaning it at night. And then at another point, I worked in Starbucks. I worked in bakeries. I worked, in a movie theater. I've had every job that you could think of, honestly. It's a lot of customer service related jobs too. I worked at a lab. I worked in healthcare. So all these different types of things. And basically, when I was there, I was like, I feel a little lost. I have to pick something. And I kind of was like, well, what can I pick that is related to people and the customer service skills I already have? And it's not going to take a 4-year degree because that wasn't really in the cards,
Yeah.
so I remember somebody gave me the idea. They're like, you know what, you should maybe consider real estate. And I was like, what is that? I didn't think. And mind you, like I moved out at 18, so I had already been in an apartment. I knew how to pay bills. I kind of knew a little bit about real estate, but obviously I was a kid still, so I didn't 100% understand what a realtor even did. And
Mm,
I
mm.
looked it up online and I remember, the Google summary at that time was like, oh, real estate agents, they sell and they lease property and they all have this nice car and, it's all these beautiful things. And I thought it was going to be so easy breezy. Like, this is great. I love people. I'm a customer service person, yada, yada. And I went and I got the real estate license. And, what's funny about that too is when I was getting my real estate license, I was working. So this is kind of a crazy story. At that time, I was working in healthcare and I had a job. It was actually not a bad job. It was customer service. I was a customer service representative
Mm.
for a healthcare company. And I used to work from 7 to 3. So that schedule was great because by 3 p.m., I had a bunch of hours to do whatever I had to do. And then I decided to get my real estate license and I would go to class in Jersey City. I worked in Jersey City at 6 o'clock till I think it was till 10 or 11 p.m. So that was a long day. But the
Wow.
problem was that during that time, one, I didn't even have the money for the course. I had to borrow the money to do the course. Like that's how broke I was. Two, I lived about 35 minutes away from Jersey City. So I didn't have the time to finish my actual job, go home and then come back. I would have spent too much commuting. So I
Right.
actually had to bring a pillow. I was so tired. I would bring a pillow and I would sleep inside my car. I would park the car all the way at the end of the hospital so no one would see me sleeping and think that maybe I was like homeless or something. And I would actually sleep an hour or two in the back of the car because I was just so tired. And I had to now put myself through a whole real estate class. Yeah. So these were rough times. So
You literally just dropped something. You did not put this in your answers. This was on. Wow, Jen.
yeah.
Resilient above all, right?
Well,
I
you know
mean, to
what? I am,
say,
yeah, I was like, you know what? I said I was going to, I'm not a quitter. So I was like, I said I was going to do this. I'm going to do this. So I went and I did that. But then the best part is that I go and I do, mind you, I'm working a lot of hours. I'm very tired. Healthcare is also, it's a lot. And
Mhm.
working till late. And I had to be at the hospital at 7 a.m., which meant I had to wake up even earlier than that, get myself together, go over. So you're talking like a lot of time doing these two things. I go to do
Yeah.
the class exam. So, right, for most people, I don't, if they don't know, like for you to become a real estate agent in New Jersey, you have to pass the class exam and then you have to pass the state exam. Well, I go to do the class exam and I fail. And I was like, absolutely not. I did not put myself through the ringer to
Yeah.
fail. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not a quitter and I'm not going to fail.
Yeah.
So I remember I basically, you get two shots to do the class exam or you essentially have to redo the whole thing. And I
Mm.
was like, all right, well, I have one more shot. So I went back home and I remember I took that book, I highlighted everything. I studied like to know, like I had never studied before. I was like, I am going to pass this thing if it's the last thing that I do. And then I went and I took it again. And the second time I got like a 98. Like I was like, I went from failing to like 60 something to a
Yeah.
98. Because it's proof that if you put your mind to something, you really can do it. And so I did. And then I passed, and then I passed the state exam. And then here we are. But yeah, I've had every job in the book before real estate, and I was just very determined. It was a combination of things. Like, I really wanted to be good at something. I liked people. My dad was a contractor, so I was around that type of business all the time. And then on top of all that, like, I was so broke and I was so desperate to like make something out of myself that I was going to do it one way or another. I had to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. 100%. I remember you shared with me like a story, like your first commission check.
Oh,
What was the first? I remember that. And I'm just like, why can't I remember the details? What was this first commission check? Because I remember I was like literally laughing out loud about it.
so this first commission check, I think it wasn't much. Like the first commission check I had ever made was a rental, but it was a good rental. Like at this time, you're talking, this was 2017. Rentals back then were a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
now. I think that rental check was like $3,000 or $4,000. Like it was a good rental. And I remember being like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because at that time, for me to have made $3,000 or $4,000, I had to work, a lot. I had to work basically more than a month, essentially. Like I really was not making a lot of money. And so I needed a one check. And it was like I had met these people. They were super nice. I showed them the apartment. I do everything. I was like astonished at the fact that I was able to enjoy doing what I was doing. And I enjoyed helping them. They were happy. I was happy. The owner was happy. And then I got paid for it. I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of times, and you even shared it, like it's at the end of the day, I think that those that really find a passion and love for real estate, it doesn't end up being about the money.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when
No,
you
it's not
see
about the money.
sometimes the impact that your work and your efforts has, and that commission check or that paycheck comes, you're like, this is what keeps sometimes it going, right?
Well, that's
It's
the
it's a,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely goes hand in hand sometimes. And, obviously as a lender, it's a little different, but you still I feel like the fulfillment of doing something that you love and obviously being able to live off of it at the same time, because our jobs are not easy,
No,
right? They
they're
are
not.
not
They're not.
easy.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that if anyone ever like decides to transition or join, like that's always I feel like my open line. Like if this is not easy. This is definitely not for those people that I'm not going to say are quitters or are weak because those are just not statements that I feel like really we should even consider ourselves. Like no one should ever consider themselves quitters or just, not absent-minded to do this. It's difficult. I didn't pass my test the
Yeah,
first time either. But I said the same thing. I was not going to quit. So I love that you shared that because I think a lot of times that's what stops us even before starting. The fact
yeah,
that we think we're going to quit, the fact that we think we're not going to be able to get to the finish line. And, for me, I think that also you shared that it allowed you to solve a problem. You're a big problem solver, right? And even if the problem was personal at first, you had the college debt, it was racking up, you were working jobs, and you fell, let's say, into the real estate or whoever mentored you to get into it. But this was a skill that you developed over time, right? Now, what does that mean to you? Now and now, fast forward, right? Let's fast forward a little. Now, what does that mean to you being a problem solver? Because I think that means different to us when we start versus now, right? In the beginning, I think we always say, like, we'll figure it out. Now, these are real problems sometimes that we have to solve on many different sides of a transaction. So, what does being a
yeah.
problem solver now mean to you?
I think now, so I think the people who do the best in this industry on any facet of it, right? Like mortgage lenders, the realtors, the attorneys, title, are usually the people who are just very good at problem solving. But I think at this stage in my career, the most important thing for me right now has been how can I problem solve this issue in the most efficient way possible that is going to benefit everybody, like not one person or one over the other, like the most efficient way. Because sometimes when you're early in your career trying to help someone, you're just kind of like desperate to help them, that maybe
Yeah.
you're not doing it in the most efficient way possible. And that has really been my goal lately, to just problem solve in the best way possible and remember that everything really does have a solution at the end of the day. So
You're freezing up a little bit on me, Jen.
oh,
You there?
excuse me.
Okay, you
Can you
came
hear me?
back. You came back.
Okay.
Yep, you came back. I heard you. I heard everything you said. I just didn't know if it froze up on your end too. I think that's really my biggest takeaway from what you shared and your story is that like confidence didn't always come first. It was just constantly moving towards the next step or the next part of the process. Even the
Yeah.
process of buying and selling, right? Or just going through the financing process. Everything's not going to happen all at once. And I think those are very like foundational skills aside from like even mindset that you need to have when you're diving into even your career if it is or is not in real estate. So I
Yeah.
think that my favorite part is coming up. It's actually more so I would say like a surprise, but I before today I had asked you to fill in the blank to 10 questions. And I didn't explain why. I just said, "Hey Jen, the last part of it is just to fill in the blanks for this question." And this is something that I'm a big AI girl. I love using, this technology to almost like sharpen our minds, like help us like continue the thought process. Like I really feel like that's where AI has helped me. And I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to play around with it and almost write a letter to you based on the questions that you answered as if it's your future self. So
Okay.
I'm going to take a couple of minutes to read it to you. I think just
Sure.
kind of, capturing what you hear hopefully will be impactful because it almost like I was like, "Oh, Jen," So this is me as future Jen. Dear future Jen, I hope you're reading this from a life you intentionally built, not one you simply drifted into. 10 years ago, you made a promise to yourself to build the life you wanted and to never doubt your own capacity. I hope every decision you've made since has honored that promise. I hope you've never lost your genuineness, and in a world that often rewards come from appearances, I hope you continue to lead with authenticity because one of your greatest strengths is exactly what you described, the way you hope they would, kind and sharp, compassionate enough to care deeply, and confident enough to know your worth. I hope you protected your time by putting yourself first when you needed to, not just out of selfishness, but because you understood that you can't pour from an empty cup. I hope you've continued to measure success by your happiness, not just your accomplishments or the bank account, because the richest in life is one that feels fulfilling. I hope you've invested in yourself with the same dedication you've given to everyone else. Growth, rest, healing, Growth, rest, healing, and joy are all worthy investments. I hope you have become even more comfortable saying no to people and opportunities that don't value your time and your potential. And I hope that you have said yes more often to being present, to the trips, the quiet moments, the laughter, and the life that's happening right in front of you. So never forget that life is short, and no matter how far you've gone, never forget where you've come from. Keep building, keep growing, keep choosing yourself with love, Jen, 10 years earlier.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh my God.
I'm going to share that with you
Yeah, please
because
do.
I truly want this to be like something you look at. You know, I know that a lot of people create vision boards, and I love all that. I truly do. My desk in front of me has pins like client letters, pictures, because it keeps me going. My kids, my husband, like those things keep me going. It keeps reminding us that sometimes through those challenges, through those struggles, through the times of like even defeat, we are still in it. Our heart is still
Yeah.
in it. Our passion, finding our passion, sometimes is the hardest thing when we have so many moving pieces that
Yeah.
pull away from us. So this was such to me like it still hit me even reading it. It was the way you just responded to some of these things. Like it was beautiful, Jen. I just want to mention that to you. So thank you for
Oh, thank you.
giving it the time that it needed. I know that you said like, you know, you don't do two lives, and I was kind of like, Jen, don't worry, you're gonna be great because when I see you and when we're like talking, you are that like spunky girl, and I can totally see that in you. So I'm so happy that you were able to share these moments together. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining in. I think that the conversation today reminds us that success isn't built overnight. It was built from a little girl who told us she could be president, from the young woman who felt lost and kept moving, from the person who grows with certainty. So thank you again for being the woman behind closed doors. And thank you for allowing me to feature you on Behind Closed Deals.
Oh, thank you so much. This was amazing. Thank
Oh,
you.
I love it. I love it. We'll share the video so that everyone can join in. Please share it. I love for people to hear your story. It truly is amazing. And keep grinding and doing all the amazing things that you're doing.
Thank you so much. You too. Thank you.
All
I
right,
will
girl.
definitely be
Have a good
sharing this.
night. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you for
Bye.
joining.